Welcome back, everybody, to Contenders South America, the final day to decide playoff seeds, playoff teams. And well, this match is pretty much decided, it seems. Black Dragons versus LFTOWL, last place versus first place. And Black Dragons are already impossible to get into playoffs, but this match means so much to LFTOWL to secure that first place spot. A win means first place, and a loss means potentially dropping into second place. So we'll start with the Black Dragon situation. The Black Dragon situation, Naori, what do I mean by that?
Right, so some of you may or may not know, there have been quite a lot of player shuffles. They've lost a few players, and they've been getting a couple new players, and it's all seemed a little kind of all over the place, right? And we have our suspicions, well, I have my suspicions, that this could be them preparing for trials. Because obviously, after Contenders, look, they've got the lowest spot. They're going to be relegated. Let's be realistic about it. But if you look at it in an optimistic light, this is their opportunity. They are trying to find their rhythm. They're trying to find the exact players that they need so that when they get into trials, they can just be that massive force to be reckoned with. I think that this is something huge for them. This is their plan. It's their secret strategy. So I'm not too worried about them for trials. I think this for them has just been an experience. And now they've learned from it. They know what to do, and they're going to come back stronger.
LaFon?
I mean, that's the upside of it, I guess. I'm hesitating because for Black Dragons, it's been a struggle this season. There's no really other way to put it. They're 0-16 in maps. They have one more match to go against to try and get a map. It's against LFTOWL of all people, the first in the group, and I would be very surprised if it ends up happening. So for Black Dragons, yes, the upside could be that they're looking to sort of, either play spoiler or, play sort of that, play for pride, if you will, sell themselves for next season if that's going to be what they end up doing. But for them, I think it's a case of too little too late. It's not like there's no talent on this team either. I think there's good players here. We saw in the previous weeks, Vetter was, particularly strong. I thought even the players that have been role shuffled a little bit, whether that be Stilo or Shanoff or really whoever you have on this roster, I thought they've had moments where they've impressed. But on the whole, Black Dragons as a team just aren't really there. And I have to say, at the last game of the season, when you're looking for even your first map win, I'm going to say they struggled to get it. And it's going to be unfortunate, but they have to just go for maximum chaos here.
Maximum chaos, which they're known for. And I think you bring up a great point that individually Black Dragons have had their bright spots. Stilo's Doomfist has popped off at moments. And Vetter, World Cup player, World Cup off tank, really filling the roles for the team, starting off support and then swapping roles here and there. I think the pieces individually can shine, but it might be just a situation of needing to be on the right team. Right? The pieces need to form a puzzle, and Black Dragons have been falling apart. And it was a very apparent last week when they were running Symmetra and Bastion and lots of C9s and issues as a whole. But Naori, do you think they've mentally checked out since we had heard that Vetter and Keo left the roster? Like, do you think they're going to be playing, or do you think they're mentally still into this game?
I feel like at this point, mentally, you realize that your time in Contenders this season is at an end, right? There's no way around that. I think that they will still show up as much as they can, because you don't go pro just to throw your hands in the air at the end, right? I mean, yeah, it's really, really disappointing, and that could show in their gameplay. But I mean, these guys, they do it because they love it. They play because Overwatch is their life, man. And I don't see them just throwing in the towel arbitrarily because, I mean, they've got trials coming up. They have opportunities to really come back and really make something of themselves. And if they show themselves to be the kind of team that's just going to be like, welp, whatever, we lost, that just shows a really bad image for themselves and for everybody else that's watching them. I think they're really going to keep trying and do their best. Yeah, the head game, it's there. It's disappointing. It's discouraging. But, I mean, these guys will pull through.
And LaFon, I think there's a lot of great things to say about LFTOWL. They're first in the group, and roster-wise, this is players from Pain Gaming and Black Dragons from Season 2 that weren't, you know, the top 3 players you'd expect to be in this position. What is so great about LFTOWL this season?
I think one of the greatest things about LFTOWL, and the reason they're actually in first, is they've grasped how to play as a team, right? This meta here, GOATS meta, we talked about it so much throughout the season. We're going to keep talking about it through playoffs most likely, is that you have to play in a coordinated fashion. LFTOWL have just done a great job of that. They control themselves in a way that is really kind of uncommon. They actually play in smart ways, and even though they've kind of struggled in certain maps, as a whole, I think their mistakes are often covered up by their own teammates. So I have no concerns here for LFTOWL. I think they're going to continue to do a great job. I think the question here is if they're going to fall into the trap of Black Dragons, right? Like we talked about Black Dragons being chaotic. Here, LFTOWL thrives in sort of the orderliness of it, and I have to wonder if they're going to be able to continue to play not just to a high level, because they're going to do that, but if they're going to you know, fall into the trap of, oh, we already cemented first place, and then if they're going to give away, you know, certain fights or certain points and so on. So what I want from LFTOWL here is just to put the foot down essentially and come out handily on top in terms of the matchups here, which I expect them to do. I think LFTOWL has done a great job throughout the season of doing that.
And I think LFTOWL, they have, you know, a lot of these teams are playing GOATs, right? But they're the type of team that bring out these cards out of their hand, especially Leviathan on this Pharah. Mura is another DPS player. You see them play the Hanzo. So there might be some creative choices LFTOWL could take. I believe they would try their hardest because, you know, first place is important for them. It's not going to be a completely experimental match, but it might be an easier opponent to try something other than GOATs.
Yeah, absolutely. This is when you want to be experimenting. And when you add into the fact that Black Dragon is such a chaotic team and they run these really interesting compositions, I think that could make for a really fun match. If we could get both teams just all out going crazy with the weirdest strats they can think of, this is going to be a lot of fun to watch.
Well, I think our analyst desk is almost getting into game. I think Ilios will be our first map, but I want to get the player to watch from both of you. Lafon, who's going to be your the player to keep your eye on?
For me, without a doubt, it is going to be Olay from LFTOWL. It's not even close. I think one of the things we haven't even highlighted so far is just how much LFTOWL's rotations in GOATS is built around that Zenyatta play. Olay has been a standout this entire season and will continue. He played for the World Cup team as well. He's done a great job. I think this player is a special player in this region, and you'll continue to see this. A lot of fights are just clutched out by Olay picking up 3 kills by himself on Zenyatta, playing sort of a frontline play. And he's done I think he's gonna continue to be sort of that standout, as I said. So for me, it's gonna be LFTOWL. It's gonna be Olay. You know, it's what more can you ask for?
How about you, Neri?
So for me, I particularly want to see this main tank matchup of Stilo versus purely because main tanks are so important in this composition. And in the last game we watched, the main tanks really stood out. They were the ones that were making the space or being one of the biggest reasons why their compositions wasn't working. So I think watching this interplay between the two tanks and how they play amongst the rest of their team, can they get their cooldowns? Are they getting the resources they need? That's really what I want to be looking out for. And I challenge everyone else in the audience, don't just have the same old vision of, oh, GOAT's boring. Really look out for those minor plays. Look out for what the Reinhardts are doing, how they're being enabled by the rest of their team, because it really is fascinating to watch.
And it'll be fascinating to see Olay. He can play like any support. Ana's going to be the one to watch out for. And Stilo picking up that main tank role when he had Doomfist. And he was trying all kinds of things and now fitting onto that main tank role. But we're going to go to a break. And when we get back, our map 1 between Black Dragons and LFTOWL is right around the corner.
Hello and welcome here on Broadcast.gg. It is Labosco and Panda getting ready for the middle game of the day. It is Black Dragons versus LFTOWL. Team at the top at LFTOWL, Panda. Black Dragons at the bottom playing for pride here, wanting to get their first map win. So my question has to be, can they make it happen?
I'm playing for pride is a little bit of an understatement. I think that they're playing for more than just that. It's more of an extension that if these players want to see their career continue, there is next season. Of course, there is trials of which they are automatically relegated to, which their map score and series score differential plays them out to be. But I'm gonna go and take a page from LaFon's book, from our analyst desk. They got to pull out that creation. They got to pull out that never before seen strategy. Catch LFTOWL off guard, perhaps. Like they were mentioning on our pre-show desk, that LFTOWL have shown a few openings on a few maps, and perhaps that off-meta style, perhaps a hamster composition of sorts with Black Dragons Esports behind the rain, they could catch LFTOWL with them looking.
Well, they're going to try and do that on Ilios. That's where we go first, and we get Ruins as our first map as well, and we know, of course, that we've seen a lot of 3-3 compositions, also known as GOATs, for those of you who enjoy calling it that. But when you look at it here, that might not be what we see. It's, of course, possible. Widow's Playground, this is as well. Nitro showing us that, at least for now. Doesn't mean that's what we'll see, though, Panda.
So you never really know. I mean, they're just assembling their heroes after all. But this was Widowmaker's Playground, and once was, and those picks can still be impactful if you find them on the right targets. I mean, key picks such as the Zenyatta taking that Discord orb out of the proverbial GOATs composition like we were talking about could be huge for a snowball opportunity for your tanks to quite literally run over the enemy front line if Nitro does decide to come out here on that pick, and Sean off on the double sniper composition could be very impactful. Never really know because Shadow Song and Steelo are both hovering over the Ryan Zarya combo very close to the doors here with them opening. LFTOWL are coming out here on the Winston Goats composition. Black Dragons are in fact double sniper. I'm going to be looking for a cross route shot off on one of these snipers for perhaps a big pick on one of the healers. LFTOWL might have a difficulty dealing with this, but they already have the Winston with them at play.
I was going to say, that's the one good thing, is they did decide to go with the Winston style of that 3-3, and Murray's really making their presence felt here early on for LFTOWL. Very good start. They will get control here as well, already going back to the drawing board as Black Dragons.
It's one of the better parts of LFTOWL's composition, the Monkey Goats composition with Pizza Lover, using the speed boost ability, catching Maria's up there to get the enough charge to do a decent amount of damage, get a couple final blows of his own, not fall behind on the Graviton charge rate of his ultimate. Shonoff is back to this fight very early on, getting pocketed, finding his shots in the mech of Aegon is out of the fight.
So that's at least something good for the side of Black Dragons. Aegon being out of mech can maybe turn this in your favor, but Olay is not letting that matter. The Zenyatta doing work. Leviathan as well being a part of that to keep this going for the side of LFTOWL.
Yeah, and LFTOWL are just kind of diving in. They're diving out fastly, more in particular, making a good showcasing of his Winston. There he goes once again, finding the bubble. Finding one member caught out, just a little bit more ult charge. He does have the Primal Rage available, so he can extend his pressure here in the backline of Black Dragons if he so chooses. Infrared Sight did die off there momentarily ago. Without this combination with the Dragon Strike from Shonoff on that Hanzo into the Graviton Surge, Black Dragons are need the opening here.
Aegon losing mech again is not going to spell anything good for them. They're going to throw the Graviton Surge. Olay was the only one caught in there, was able to use his Transcendence, keeps himself alive, and then the counter grab is great for the side of LFTOWL, as they will get the eliminations needed to continue to hold on to the 60% they've built up to already. Aegon waving and is able to get back in mech as well.
Might as well throw the Transcendency, saving it for the Graviton Surge. You're going to hold on to the sound barrier for this next engagement. Could set up a last fight scenario if it lasts a long time. Nitro actually going to drop the Sniper Rifle, pick up a shield, instead go over to the Brigitte. Like Dragons are holding on to their Dragon Strike, however, and without a Graviton Surge could be very unimpactful per se, but they still have the Reinhardt to exert frontline pressure, and they can create spacing. Nope, Shonoff is actually going to swap over to the Zarya. They're going to go for the whole 3-3 composition themselves. When in doubt, you have to go for it.
Goats it out. That's the other thing that they say when in doubt. So that's what they're going to do here. Shadow Song swinging that hammer into the Winston, who's made his way into the team. Primal Rage, though, that will push some players around, though, for Fasty is the good thing. So can displace that Reinhardt, and Shadow Song will fall thanks to that as well. Players pushed into the corner, being bullied there. They're all able to get Sound Barrier, who are left alive. Only problem is for Black Dragons is they're starting to lose the numbers. Overtime meter's starting to go here. Stylo up into the air. Not going to be able to do much. Stilo just in a very bad place, and it'll be a win here for LFTOWL on map number 1.
Very precarious positioning there. I mean, they had a last team fight scenario. They could have even walked back in on that last composition, perhaps got a stall in that last moment. It's not like they would have been able to get any ultimate there. They hardly had any. They almost wanted to hold on to that to the Dragon Strike from Shanoff just as an opening, so that way they could walk onto point, maybe find a member of LFTOWL out of position. Regardless, the LFTOWL are 1 up in the series as we go towards the well stage of Ilios, and if they win this map, or the stage rather, they'll be able to take this series 1-0 so far. Black Dragons are still continuing to show an interesting style. Never doubt that they'll actually roll out with the composition that they're showing on the screen. This time it's going to be the ball and chain combination that tipped their hat to a few metas ago. The difference is they're going to have Nitra on this Brigitte for the backline sustainability for Tracker and Winnie King. Perhaps even Shanoff. If they can bunker down behind Shadow Song, it could be difficult for LFTOWL to debunk, but they're not afraid of it either. They're actually going to roll out with their own Ursa, but they have Aegon on the Diva.
Exactly. I was going to say that was the only difference that we can highlight here really between these two. And they're going to speed themselves around, being aggressive, pushing in. Leviathan will get the elimination, but ends up falling to Stilo thanks to that great hook. But this is still a good position here for LFTOWL. They have the numbers advantage, and now Mur is just silently sneaking around here, trying to get onto that back line, is able to find himself an Orisa, and now with a little bit of help from Aegon, is able to take down Nitro. So they will get the first cap again, even though you had that nice pick come onto the Brigitte and Leviathan.
It's a really good hook combination going onto the Brigitte into the wall. You almost never see it anymore, so it's still a fantastic sight regardless. I just think LFTOWL are just really enabling their speed boost from Pizza Lover a little bit more effectively. The Black Dragons able to really move Merez around these choke points very quickly, so that we can get a flashbang and a fan the hammer off. Now he has the Deadeye, and you can see how aggressively they can use Pizza Lover's speed boost.
He didn't get anything with it, but he almost was able to take down the counterpart McCree that was there. But in the meantime, Stilo was able to find Ole. So Ole down in the beginning of the fight. A good start for Black Dragons to try and push their way onto this point. The only problem is they still have to try and deal with the players left for LFTOWL. They do manage to get on point, but out comes the supercharger here from Fasty. As his team behind him, funny, he looked back there, wasn't sure where they were. Doesn't matter. They're onto the point now, and plenty of damage coming out. And LFTOWL with the self-destruct, continuing to hold on thanks to Aegon.
Yeah, and even though shield, it got busted down from all of the pressure. That's one good thing about Arresta. You just focus down the shield, and along with your cohorts, and you're able to get down a shield very quickly. Good hook into the wall again. These Brigettes is not having an easy time on this wall stage so far. Lobosco. Black Dragons, however, going to have this Deadeye ultimate along with the whole hog ultimate. See how they are going to be able to effectively use it. Going to have some armor underneath the Brigetta player themselves. LTOWL, yet again, this last fight scenario, kind of a deja vu of Ruins. Now they have the sound barrier available, and if they get caught out in the open, even if they're zoned from the Deadeye, could spell very big pressure for Black Dragons to exist on this point.
Well, we hear the High Noon come out. Murs just being careful not to get caught in it, as Shanoff will not be able to find anything. And now the counter Deadeye. Can Murs find anything? And he's going to find himself a main tank in Shadow Song. So good alt usage by LFTOWL, still maintaining control here. So close to giving up that point. Don't want to do that. They want to make sure that this can end here as the overtime meter is finally started. Nitro, though, finds Murs, so that's not too bad of a start. So a good one here. Stylo looking for a place to come around, maybe has himself a whole hog. Has to be careful that they don't give up the point here. Oh, Nitro almost getting pulled in by Fasty. Kind of just waiting this one out. They do finally flip it is the thing, so they can start building percentage for Black Dragons.
Yeah, started putting on like decent amount of pressure. Found a they really found LFTOWL on their back foot without the healing available for Fasty on that main tank. They just backed up, get the spacing available. Smart decision from the coordination of LFTOWL just to back up, reassess the situation, see if they can attack the point. They do have the sound barrier available. They want to aggressively push on there from Rez. That pick on a shot of no res available. That is a 6v5 already.
Whole hog coming out here from Stilo too, trying to force them off that back area. Can't quite do it. Self-destruct up into the air. Will be able to take out the supercharger at the very least. Fast, he's able to use his supercharger. In the meantime, they do have control. Have to just find these last few eliminations onto the main tank, and Shadowsong, who's just trying to stall for as long. Oh, what the shot from Murra is there. And now will aggressively go on to the Orisa, uses the Deadeye to get all of his ammo back so he doesn't have to reload, doesn't even need a tracker thrown into the pit by Pizza Lover.
And Mirez, the Zarya player, as he's been suppressed into the 3-3 competition of LTL. We know him as the Widowmaker player as well, and even the McCree. Really good showcasing here, finding good headshots, good flicks all around. Got to really watch out for that. And Mirez is taking a good advantage again from the speed boost of Pizza Lover. With that being said, I think that we almost got to see a little bit of what Black Dragons had in store for us, just with a minor bit of coordination. Let's not forget that Black Dragons, the way that they're playing around with all of their roster members, it's almost really hard to find that coordination and tactics, even though they found a good couple halt and hook combinations between their tanks. LTL, you can see as a team, are just quite literally more coordinated.
They're definitely more coordinated. Not only that, they end up getting a win on a map for LFTOWL that they haven't had a win yet. It's funny to think that there's maps that they haven't had wins on. Well, Ilios was one of those, as we get to look back at Ilios right now too, Panda, and see some of the great plays that did come out from LFTOWL.
Yeah, you can see just utilizing all the pressure that they have, even from a Pilot Diva's perspective. The Monkey Goats composition coming out on runes, expecting a Reinhardt coming out from Black Dragons. It's a big brain play from LFTL if you've ever expected it. They were very composed along the way, not really throwing out their support ultimates until they were necessarily pressured to do so. Here on Well, especially, this was just a battle of the bunkers here, Labasco, in a smart play here at the end. If you've ever seen it, LFTL giving up the pressure so that way they could regroup promptly, get the healing that they needed so that way they could reassess the point regardless of giving control percentage over to Black Dragons. It was a smarter play, and going into playoffs, I think we need to see more of that from LFTL.
And I think one thing to consider as well is LFTOWL is just making sure that they solidify themselves as the top team. You know, they don't have it necessarily just yet. I mean, Isras has a very small outside chance, but I think with the map win here makes it a little bit more difficult. And I think if they win one more map, I don't think it matters. But regardless, they are still technically playing for something, even though this is something where the expectations are that they should win, Panda.
It's still possible for them to drop. You're not wrong. I think that going into the next couple maps, it could definitely be an opening for them. Maybe not perhaps for Hybrid itself, just because it's going to you can't really compare it because their only loss was against Upgaming, and there was a couple of disconnection and errors there along the way. But regardless of the fact, I think LFTL are still showing how strong of a team they actually are. That it is quite literally their first seed to lose, but they're not missing any beats here. They're quite literally playing the game as expected, even though they know that they're the top seed of this group currently facing the seed that are the one team that is relegated confirmed. You have to give your hats off to them just by how composed they are, just how much they're giving into this match. And though the counter pick from Black Dragons may be in store for Nubani, my thoughts are out the window. I was seeing Fasty as this very good Reinhardt specialist, but he's coming through on this Winston through the ruins on the Winston Goats, and going into Nubani, that flex pick that Black Dragons want to take against LTL might come back to bite them a bit.
And it's funny too, because you mentioned how you talk about him as, you know, you're thinking Winston is more of maybe his weaker tank. Well, they're 3-0 on Numbani. They haven't lost on Numbani. Right. They actually, their one loss on Hybrid was on Hollywood, and that's not the map we're going to. So is that maybe just Black Dragons feel a little bit more comfortable going to Hollywood than perhaps going to Numbani instead of Hollywood?
Now, I think this comes down to the DPS question at bay, right? So LFTOWL, Leviathan, and Mirez, especially, that you can really play a multitude of DPS in between those two, and that's how this whole entire map has been played out for them for Nubani, and why they've looked very malicious along the way. Their somber Doomfist composition has been impeccable. You'll see it come out on Hanamura. You'll see it come out on this map in particular. The EMP to Doomfist, Super Doomfist with the Harmony on the Discord orb targets is very scary, not only as a support that is getting Seismic slammed on, but as a Doomfist to impend onto the enemy is very good as a team going into playoffs. It could be a little bit more of a DPS-eccentric style. But I think LFTOWL as a whole, this is all in the DPS's pocket. They have the Pharah, they got the Genji, you can play the Widowmaker, the McCree. They can play and throw out a multitude of subjects to counterpick Black Dragons should they try to go the extra mile in their pick, say like a Hamster, or even say they triple tank Goat's composition, but instead of the D.Va, you pull out the Winston instead of, and you get the double main tank with the Reinhardt, Winston, and the Zarya. Very interesting composition. It does work sometimes. You can catch a couple teams off guard. It doesn't look like Black Dragon's going to be setting up for that. It is their attack. Actually going to be coming out here with the Orisa. Take a look at LFTOWL, holding very close. Going to catch them off guard.
They're able to cut off the back line. Nitro is on Bastion as well, so they were trying to bring out a cheeky comp as it was anyways, but it gets caught out before anything can happen. Doesn't even matter. They're going to be forced right back into spawn. Nothing that this poor Orisa can do, and Shadow Song gets Goomba stomped by Fasty.
And they would have gotten away with it too. It wasn't for those meddling LFTOWL kids and that Brigitte shield to see around the corner. Spotted out. Really smart play. LFTOWL getting a very quick lead in the ultimate charge. Black Dragons taking quick swaps over the Zen Goats that we know and love today. Very behind on the charge and quick hack on Estilo. Good ult charge over to Merez. The quicker you can get that EMP, the better, but not if you get picked by Tracker. Good counter pick by him.
Really impressive, especially because usually if you're careful as that Sombra, you can recall without really being damaged too horribly. Stilo's going to lose a mech though, so even though they're without their Sombra, they're still making this work, at least for the moment for LFTOWL. They're going to have to give up, it looks like 2 ticks before they're going to be able to get back on. That should give their Sombra enough time to get back into this fight. Shadow Song gets discorded, and Olay finds the elimination as well. Fasty jumping on top here, trying to Tesla cannon down, and Olay just going crazy on this Zenyatta.
Yes, sure. You dealt with the DPS of Merez, but you forgot to deal with the raid boss in Olay, and that's why LaFon highlighted him on the desk. You can leave him at bay, sure, and you can try to disregard the Orbs of Destruction, but not when a Zenyatta is this accurate, man. He is so good and so devastating. You almost forget that he's there in the front line being sped boost by Pizza Lover on through with Fasty. It's very impressive, just the amount of grit that you can have as a Zenyatta when you just stay alive like Olay does. About enough time for Merez to get back to the point, and they have this EMP. They have a 6-pack of ultimates ready for Black Dragons as they walk onto the high ground.
And here comes the first one of those ultimates. It's going to be the EMP. Fasty in eliminating Nitro. They do throw the self-destruct in there as well for good measure, and now they have a baby D.Va. That's the only thing left alive. Able to get back the mech though with Stilo.
Yeah, trying to get a little bit more ult charge. The hack now on to Stilo. He's gonna be able to get the heals now. Gets the armor pack from Nitro. So, whereas not playing with fire this time is gonna recall back. LTL only exhausting the EMP self-destruct combination as all members of Black Dragons were caught up in that hallway in the upper catwalk area. Black Dragons are just going to go ahead and rinse, repeat, try once more. They do have the Graviton Surge walking in. Stilo a little bit behind on the self-destruct.
Throwing in that grab, and there's the boop coming from Fasty in that Primal Rage, along with the use of the Zarya Graviton Surge. And goodbye to Stilo as well, but Stilo's probably okay with that. Don't give up any extra ult charge.
Yeah, and Pizza Lover just kind of helping Stilo off. A little bit to his benefit, too. You get a nice little regroup, so with Black Dragons can walk back on his point. Graviton Surge out there, too. The closer Merez gets to this EMP, it could be even more devastating because Black Dragons doesn't have any support ultimates. So what they're closer to is the sound barrier, which gets immediately negated by the EMP. Do not forget, Nitro, with this rally, needs to be timely so that way they can exert pressure on the front line to find a good self-destruct from Stilo.
Well, the only problem is that EMP is back up, so Tracker very little bit of extra armor on, as well as able to at least avoid the EMP. Only problem is everybody else was caught in it, and Aegon quickly downs Sean off at the beginning of the fight. Nitro getting hacked in there as well. No Brigitte is a huge problem if you're the side of Black Dragons.
Yeah, no, 13 seconds left. There are some members that are still alive, but that is just a lonely Zenyatta over on the Mega Health Pack area. Winnie King needs to speed boost back to the point very quickly, and they need to exhaust the sound barrier if they need to get onto the point. It's actually going to be Stilo throwing his life towards the point. He's getting booped around just like so many different members. LFTOWL, the Brigitte, and the Lucio together combined, and Aegon, that D.Va mech was in the air forever.
They couldn't even get back onto points. They were so close. They had players there, but they couldn't do that. So this, a very, very very important LFTOWL win that can come here. Just have to get to 73.5%.
This is Captain Optimism on your shoulder. Let's not forget that Black Dragons still have a win condition of 73.5% on to the hybrid control meter, escort point. So if they come out and they start winning a couple team fights, they get ahead on the ult economy, they might be able to do it. They just might be able to do it.
You know where you can
I'm not saying how likely it is.
Don't
ask me the percentage, but where can you win all your team fights?
Broadcast.gg, because we help you grow as a broadcaster. We're constantly creating opportunities for exposure and practice, just like this one. We're collaborating on resources to push esports forward. So if you share your love for esports, make sure you join up the Discord. There's a link in the panels down below.
Nice. Black Dragons this time around, when they roll out on their defense, a little bit more of a popular DPS composition. I mean, the flexibility chain going off the actual charts. This time around, they're going to have a solo tank, I guess you can call it, with the hamster. Shadow Song this time around, making his entry and coming in and swinging through like a wrecking ball. Shot off on the soldier. It's going to be light heals, but they don't really need that much, all things considering. They get a good health back. They play around all of the Discord orb. And when Steelo pounces on, it could be effective, could catch LFTOWL off guard, but they're coming out on the tried and true, what has worked out for them so well this series so far, and that's the monkey goats. Fast these dives have been so coordinated with Aegon, and on the Discord orb of Olay, those targets get absolutely obliterated.
Sean off, showing us a Soldier 76 Elo on the Doomfist, so they're going with a very aggressive composition here from Black Dragon. Something we thought that we might be able to see is them do something a little different. Oh, but Steelo's dive not going to work. Olay showing why he's so good on that Zenyatta. Shadow Song swinging around on that wrecking ball. Won't throw his body into anything is the only problem, or the body of that mech, I should say. Aegon so close to losing mech here. Will do so after, thanks to the Helix Rockets. Fasty will lose his life as well. So kind of a disjointed defense, or sorry, not defense, but offense that came out from LFTOWL.
They're taking towards the spawn room area. Winnie King's going to have to use the amp out ability just to heal up Shadow Song as much as possible. LFTOWL going to use the speed boost, speed LA, get this Transcendence, just Trance on the point, just try to deal with as many members of the Black Dragons as possible. But look at the poor members of LFTOWL. Kind of caught out. And he's going to try to displace Sean off on this high ground here momentarily. Black Dragons are doing a good job of catching LFTOWL off guard, taking this fight from a multitude of perspectives.
But they were able to regroup is the only thing, and Aegon is able to eliminate Steelo right at the beginning of the fight again. So already down one of your big burst damage players, and now they'll have control of the point. Oh, goodbye, Fasty says to Nitro, goes flying off the map. So now it's just Shadow Song and Shawnoff who can try and get on here, but they're going to get holed by the grab. This looks like it's going to be a quick 2-0 win for the side of LFTOWL. A little bit of stall coming out here at the end, but it will be 2-0 LFTOWL in control here against Black Dragons.
Fasty, I think he got 4 environmental kills total off the edge in that one spot there as a primal raging Winston. That's fantastic work. Very finesse play coming out from the main tank of LFTOWL altogether. I think that I definitely want to highlight his Winston play. Yet again, has done a fantastic job of creating space. So that way, the rest of the 3-3 composition that LFTOWL have been playing today have been more than impactful.
It's extremely impactful and a 2-0 lead for them. And to talk about that, we have our incredible desk of LaFon and Nauri. And of course, we have our gracious host, Lemon Kiwi. So go ahead, take it away.
Thanks, Labasco, and we're having quite the exciting match, clearly. 2-0 so far for LFTOWL, and a clear, great path to holding on to that first place. And Black Dragons trying to hold the pieces together. We're showing some replays of just how dominant LFTOWL really was. But I think what's been, maybe if you're a veteran of South America, you might see that Black Dragons playing a little bit off role, and this is the first time we're seeing Tracker as well.
Yeah, I really want to bring this to Caverna Esports. For those that have been following this particular region, Caverna was a team that started out looking really confused about their identity. They did a lot of role swaps with Capimac and Silvera, and it didn't work for them. But as the season progressed, they came into their own. They figured out their roles, they got their stuff together, and clearly, I mean, they're doing phenomenally well. We'll bring it back to Black Dragons now. This is a team that has not managed to find themselves. We've been seeing a lot of swap-offs. Players on weird roles, moving in between tank and DPS and support, and it's really looked like a bit of a mess. They haven't been able to cement their identity yet, and that is by far one of the biggest problems that they've had. Tracker has been doing interestingly. I mean, there have been moments where he's played well, and there've been moments like
that was pretty cool.
I mean, he's getting those pop-offs, but you've got to be working with your team, man. It's not enough to be a good player in an okay team, you know? You've got to make sure that your entire team is on that level. Tracker doing well, not enough. Managing to catch out Mirror's Sombra out of position quite a few times, but again, it's not enough. If the rest of your team doesn't have that follow-up, if they're not sure what they're doing, then it's just going to fall apart.
I think one of the things to add on to that, though, is that LFTOWL has been phenomenal. We at the top of the broadcast, I mentioned that I wanted to see LFTOWL just continue to be dominant continuously, and they have. I think one of the things is, we talked about this a little bit, is that the rotations that LFTOWL have been making have been very, very clean. I want to like harken back to actually, when Mures was playing the McCree, they set down the Orisa shield, then they put the High Noon up, then they use the speed to get around the corner and get the kill on Shadow Song, actually, with the High Noon. And I think for LFTOWL, it is moments like that where we're seeing the better team come out on top. And the struggle for Black Dragons here is that has been every single play. I only picked a moment, but you look at any single play and LFTOWL have just been on point. They give up 2 ticks but on Numbani, but I don't think it really even matters. They wait for their cooldowns. They played smart. They know, okay, you don't have to win the fight, you just have to win the war, and LFTOWL do a fantastic job of that. So yes, Black Dragons has been struggling, but this is a team that's been struggling all season, so it's not unexpected. I think one of the better things here for LFTOWL is that they've been this dominant. When we look at some of Black Dragons' other games, we talked about Chaos, what they can kind of bring to the table, and that is, you know, that absolute just sheer weirdness, right? We saw them open with Bastet and Numbani, and what do LFTOWL do? They set up a really aggressive play on first. They basically shut that down before it even shows up. And for LFTOWL, if you're playing this game, you have to be really happy with the fact that you're basically reading Black Dragons before they can even make a move.
That's very clear, and the dominance is even clearer for LFTOWL, who we would would be hard to predict otherwise. The 4-0 coming in. We'll see if Black Dragons can get their first map win in the season. Speaking of the path to pro from LFTOWL, maybe potentially being a top 2 team going up against BTH in the playoffs, maybe. Speaking of BTH, I think we should get to know one of the star players of BTH, Alamong, who's done his path to pro all the way to the Overwatch League. We have a very special interview featuring him. Check it out.
Estamos de volta com a Overwatch Contenders América do Sul, apresentada pela HyperX. E o V7 mudou um pouquinho, né? Estamos aqui com este monstro sagrado, Alemão. E aí, meu querido, como é que você tá?
E aí, pessoal, eu sou o Alemão, eu creio que todo mundo me conhece aí. E estamos aqui, né?
Tá de boa, tranquilão?
Tô de boa, tranquilão.
Alemão, me fala uma coisa. Você é o primeiro brasileiro jogador aqui da Contenders América do Sul a ser, entre aspas, exportado aí para a Overwatch League. Como que você se sente com tudo isso? Você consegue colocar em palavras?
Cara, eu me sinto muito feliz. É o objetivo aí que eu tô buscando há quase 3 anos, né? Que todo mundo do cenário competitivo busca, né? Com certeza. E, pô, tô muito feliz, tô muito ansioso para tudo começar, para eu ir para lá, para começar a treinar e só isso. Ansiosão mesmo.
Pode crer.
E vem de muita experiência, né? Não só participou de todas as Contenders, mas também veio da Copa do Mundo. E na última Copa do Mundo você se destacou bastante, inclusive chamou a atenção de vários sites internacionais que te compararam a grandes jogadores da Overwatch League e também comentaram sobre a possibilidade de você ser o melhor Lúcio do mundo. Você considera que esse foi um momento crucial para Boston Uprising pensar em você para compor a equipe deles?
Eu acho que a Copa do Mundo trouxe uma vitrine para todo mundo que não é da Overwatch League, né? Que não tem essa base da Overwatch League. Todo mundo da seleção jogou muito bem, eu, o Nil, o Lico, todo mundo que tava lá jogou, o Oli, todo mundo jogou muito bem. E eu acho que foi de forma uma vitrine, sim, para os outros times da Overwatch League, os times da Academy, olharem, né? Aconteceu, ó, pessoal aqui sul-americano, pessoal aqui de outras regiões um pouco menores, né? E falar, o pessoal é bom lá, vamos testar aí, vamos tentar fazer alguma coisa com eles também. E eu acho que sim, acho que ajudou, assim, o nosso desempenho na Copa do Mundo, eu tenho certeza que ajudou.
E o Alemão foi escolhido.
Ainda bem, ainda bem.
É isso, e como você disse, né, é uma vitrine para mostrar aqui o talento, e a Overwatch League ainda tem um tempo para começar, né? Vai começar dia 14 de fevereiro, inclusive você já anota em casa para não perder. E como que tá essa preparação para essa jornada que você vai ter, cara?
Então, tô jogando muita ranked, né, pra tá calibrado. E ainda tá começando os treinos ainda com o time. Não dá pra treinar muito porque eu ainda tô no Brasil, tô jogando lagado e é muito ruim jogar lagado, principalmente de Mercy, é a pior coisa do planeta. Mas tô esperando pra ir pra lá, pra começar os treinos, espero treinar o dia todo, vou jogar o dia todo, vou dar meu melhor e é isso.
Recebemos o Morre Aqui, então, que o alemão vai jogar de Mercy.
Depende do meta, né? Depende do meta. Depende.
E do lado da Boston Uprising, qual jogador você tá mais animado em jogar ao lado?
Olha, todo mundo da Boston é todo mundo muito absurdo. Eu não tenho um jogador, ó, esse cara eu quero jogar muito com ele. É realmente todo mundo mesmo. Pra mim, todo mundo é muito bom.
E a gente sabe que a Boston Uprising, como você disse, né, todo mundo é muito bom, tem um potencial. A própria Overwatch League tem jogadores com qualidade altíssima. E quais os jogadores da Boston que você acha que você vai ter que criar mais sinergia ali para obter sucesso na liga, para ir bem na liga?
Eu acho que a principal função do Lúcio é você ter um entrosamento bom com o tanque, né? E com outro suporte do seu time, no caso o Flex Support, que é o Engod. Então eu acho que é muito preciso, sim, é bem importante você criar um entrosamento bom com essas duas funções.
Justo. E você tá passando por uma mudança muito grande. Mudou de time depois de muito tempo junto com a BGH, que agora é Based. E agora vai ter que mudar de país também. Tá animado pra morar fora do Brasil pela primeira vez na carreira?
Nossa, eu tô super animado. Vai ter o choque de cultura, né? Até porque é outra região, cultura diferente, outra comida. Lá tem bastante hambúrguer, eu gosto muito de hambúrguer. Então, isso aí eu tenho certeza que eu vou ficar bem feliz. Mas tá de boa, eu tô muito ansioso mesmo. Só quero que tudo aconteça logo.
O hambúrguer de lá é melhor do que daqui ou daqui é melhor do que de lá?
Olha,
você vai ter que contar pra
ano que vem eu...
Tá bom.
Ano que vem eu te falo.
Tá certo. E, cara, ainda é um começo, né, digamos, da sua carreira, principalmente essa experiência internacional. E qual a meta? Quais as metas, melhor dizendo, da sua carreira? O que você quer atingir enquanto jogador de esporte do mais alto nível do esporte? Não só do Overwatch, mas do esporte mundial.
Eu acho que o mais importante é você ser aquele jogador que não tem um pico curto e some, sabe? Eu quero ser aquele jogador que dure. E, claro, com certeza. Pra mim, o maior objetivo é ganhar a Overwatch League e tal, uma final absurda. Eu creio que é o objetivo de todo mundo mesmo.
Você já se viu na final ali, aquela coisa, a galera gritando?
Acho que todo mundo já se viu, né? Pô, deve ser muito da hora.
Será que vão criar um copy-pasta agora pro alemão?
Tomara. Acho que nenhum bate o do Honorato. O do Honorato é o melhor.
Poxa vida. A gente substitui, o pessoal tá substituindo bastante também.
Não dá.
Mas você tá deixando muitos amigos aqui no cenário sul-americano. E quais deles você tem esperança de ver dentro da Overwatch League num futuro próximo?
Eu acho que todo mundo da Based tem um nível pra estar lá. Pra mim, todo mundo tem que estar lá alguma hora ou outra. Eu gosto muito deles, eu sou suspeito pra falar porque eu joguei com eles há 3 anos quase.
Sim.
Mas no cenário tem muita gente boa também fora da Based. O Olho, por exemplo, o Olho é um absurdo, o cara joga demais. E eu espero sim ver esse povo lá logo, tomara.
E a gente sabe que aqui na região sul-americana tem muita gente que está tentando, né, almejando se tornar um jogador profissional. A gente teve a Open Division agora, que inclusive fechou com um número recorde de times participando, que foi muito legal. É o que prova também que a galera tá animada, tá querendo vir para esse cenário competitivo. E quais as dicas que você pode dar para essa galera que tá no caminho, que tá tentando, que tá começando agora, ou então que tá ali disputando uma Trials, enfim, quais as dicas que você pode dar para a galera que tá almejando se tornar um jogador profissional?
Eu acho que a coisa mais importante é você nunca parar de jogar, nunca parar de tentar melhorar, sabe? Você sempre buscar os seus problemas, buscar os seus erros, buscar os erros do time e sempre tentar melhorar. E eu acho que a oportunidade vai vir. Espero, né, que a oportunidade venha pros jogadores. Mas, só continua jogando aí. Espero que tudo aconteça pra galera.
Tá certo.
Bom, alemão, nós Meu, seu, nosso povo do Overwatch, te admiramos muito por esse caminho que você conseguiu completar aqui, sul-americano, que a gente sempre teve tanta esperança disso acontecer, e a gente tá torcendo por você desde o dia do anúncio da Boston Uprising.
Muito obrigado.
E agora, vamos abrir esse espaço para você mandar uma mensagem especial pro público que tá te acompanhando e vai torcer muito por você lá.
Bom, eu só queria agradecer aí todo mundo que torce pela gente, não só por mim, mas por todo o cenário sul-americano. É muito importante a torcida e a força que vocês dão. Obrigado aí todo mundo aqui também na Copa do Mundo. Deu uma torcida muito, muito boa na Copa do Mundo, foi muito da hora. E é isso, muito obrigado mesmo e espero trazer um bom jogo pra vocês na Overwatch League. Espero tá da hora lá.
Jogar o fino.
Jogar o fino.
Overwatch, como é que o Colero fala? Overwatch debochado.
É, isso aí.
Tá certo, então muito obrigado, Alemão, por disponibilizar esse tempo para trocar essa ideia com a gente. A entrevista acabou sendo um pouco curta ali, porque tá rolando um treino, né? Agora, enquanto a gente fala, e o Alemão aqui, a Boston deu essa colher de chá para ele vir aqui com a gente e trocar essa ideia. Então, inclusive, muito obrigado, Boston Uprising. Thank you so much por deixar o Alemão aqui vir para a bancada e trocar essa ideia com a gente. E, claro, muita sorte no caminho, muita sorte na Overwatch League, porque agora a Boston Uprising é o Brasil na Overwatch League. Claro, a gente quer ver a sua torcida, a gente quer ver a torcida pro Alemão e pra Boston também. Mais uma vez, Alemão, muito obrigado.
Obrigado.
Vai dar bom, né, Ana? Vai dar bom.
Muito obrigado aí pela participação.
currently 2-0 in favor of LFTOWL versus Black Dragons. It's Labasco and Panda here with you on Broadcast.gg for South American Contenders. Panda, LFTOWL has looked extremely strong. We got to hear our guests talk about how well they've been looking here in this one so far.
Yeah, really good highlights coming through from the beginning of the show all the way to this halfway point in between supports, tanks, and DPS roles. That is, altogether, I just think LFTOWL, they're looking fantastic as a team, a well-oiled machine. And that's what you want when you're headed into playoffs, especially, is to look as strong as possible. Now, this is going to be a bigger test for them going forward, Labasco, and we know our assault map is going to be Horizon. Black Dragons are looking for that next throw out of left field with a map pick this time, trying to play their versatility pick, but then again, LFTOWL, they have been very proficient on their 3-3 composition. They could take the first point by storm and snowball all the way in space to point B for another victory of Black Dragons if they come out with those wonky compositions. Did start to work out a little bit. I almost got to think that if the payload got unlocked there, might have been able to see a little more versatility from Black Dragons. That hamster composition started pulling them off guard ever so slightly, but LFTOWL, just too strong, man.
We just answered things whenever they saw them. They may have not had the answer immediately, like they got separated when they were on offense, but they were able to expertly get themselves back together as a complete unit and then just dominate and take the points. So I guess one thing to point out is, you know, obviously the play is great, but it seems like their communication is one of those things that's just on another level.
Well, that's what it really comes down to. And with Fasty, let's not forget, not that I can highlight this enough, he was a past DPS player, came into the main tank role. I originally highlighted him as a main tank role that preferred Reinhardt, but his Winston play has been fantastic. And that communication being showcased visibly on the screen with those dives when they were playing the Winston Ghost composition with Aegon has been impeccable. And even when they have been playing closer to a core dive setup with the Winston and Diva, have been still very impactful. LFTOWL, again, not to sound like a broken record here, they need to continue to show how strong that they are working as a team going forward into playoffs, so that way they can show their enemies that they are not missing a beat.
We can't give you the moon, but we are on the moon for this next map. Obviously, Horizon, Lunar Colony, and defensively, we're seeing from LFTOWL. I mean, I think this is no surprise, but it's triple tank, triple support with Zenyatta on Olay, who has been stellar, is not saying how well he's been.
That's right. It's all starts with the Discord Orb, and then you have the Winston that chases said Discord Orb. This time around, it's going to be LFTOWL on their defense with the Zen Ghost composition. Rather safe than sorry. Set up the ultimate economy for second if they get wiped here. Black Dragons on their attack. They see what has been served for the defender's side. They're holding very aggressively, so they go on the Zangos themselves, just looking for the shield bash from Nitro, and they could bulldoze over Fasty.
Looks like that's what they're going to try to do. Have to use the barriers here early on either side. Projected barrier for Fasty, and he's able to swing his way into Shadow Song and already force back Black Dragons.
You know, I said that for Black Dragons, but it didn't work out in the opposite. The same tactic, but on LFTOWL's front foot there. Gotta hand it to them. Always being combined. Olay finding the damage onto the stunned Reinhardt after Leviathan landed a good shield bash. And this is where they can hold aggressively. They have the ultimate charge. They can definitely hold here for the moments being, even without ult economy, because they know Black Dragons don't have any themselves. And when they get this Earthshatter or this Graviton Surge, they will really solidify a close clutch hold.
Without a doubt. I mean, you think about it right now for LFTOWL, Panda, they are in the driver's seat already.
Yeah, and trying to stay within the driver's seat as much as possible, but they get a little bit over ambitious with their positioning, and they get absolutely annihilated. Black Dragons able to find the damage more heavily from Steel on this Diva from the Discord Orb tracker, and they're going to be able to start control meter onto this point. LFTOWL on the Ghost composition with Pizza Lover just respawning. He's not going to be able to get back to the point in time. So LFTOWL is just going to hope to set up a point B hold. Black Dragons, they didn't have to exhaust on the ultimates, just raw vanilla play got them point A. They're about to be nearing a near 5-pack of ultimates, starting with the self-destruct. If Nitro get this rally soon, they can make their attack even stronger. LFTOWL, they need to use this Transcendence very sparingly because they... Oh, whoop, no, never mind. They just got the Graviton Surge and Big Bang combo. They may look for it here. Earthshatter comes through from Fasty, but it doesn't find anybody. Gets immediately negated from the shield of Shadow Song. Graviton Surge to follow. Merez and the self-destruct from Aegon. A clean combination from the shield bash of Leviathan onto Shadowsong. A good 5k at the end of the day. LFTOWL pushed Black Dragons all the way back.
And look at this poor Diva here and Stilo. Just nothing that can be done to Panda. Quickly eliminated as they see players coming out for Black Dragons. Now Black Dragons, they'll just run back into spawn. Oh, Tracker though! Tracker's caught in a bad place.
Yeah, and that's very unfortunate, especially when you get caught out of spawn. You try to peek out ever so slightly, try to get a little bit more ult charge, but then you realize that you have no teammates to stand behind of, and then you're just trying to kill off in the Mega Pack room. But at the end of the day, Black Dragons, they will have a few more ultimates to play around with. They won't have the Transcendence this time around, but LFTOWL had to exhaust what little ultimates they had left coming forward this time around. They will have to, again, use this Transcendence and their Brigitte ultimate, the Rally, sparingly. Fasty nearing the Earth Shatter. Can he find it this time around?
Self-destruct thrown in here originally, taken away as Fasty. Stilo's able to get Leviathan with that self-destruct as well. So in the driver's seat right now is the team in Black Dragons. They missed there to Shadowsong with that Reinhardt Earth Shatter, but they still have control of this. They're at least going to be able to get one tick on, maybe two here. So 66.6%. They cannot lose. Fasty getting stunned out there, but he's able to answer regardless with that Earth Shatter. After the stun is over, there's no follow-up onto it. So back onto the point now is LFTOWL. They have to win this fight, though. Otherwise, it's going to be a big time bank on for Black Dragons is the only thing. Shadowsong getting close to losing his life here. Transcendence will make sure he doesn't. Black Dragons still on this point. Mariz able to get the grab out here, throws it, and is able to do so because Stilo was using the self-destruct, and because of that, everybody's going to lose their life for Black Dragons, so smart use of the grab.
Fantastic play coming out from LFTOWL and Mariz with that Graviton Surge, recognizing with the mech out of play, and no one could eat anything. They couldn't do a darn thing about it. They didn't have support ultimates, so Black Dragons, they had no other choice but to just get wiped. They did get 89.2%, and that's definitely not where LFTOWL wanted to be, given Black Dragons all of that percentage. The Pilot Diva of Steel finally gets dealt with, but that's okay because they're about to have the bigger bang combination. It's how they started off that big, luxurious control meter so far to the 89% region. Now all they need is one more tick. LFTOWL, on the other hand, can counter it with a timely sound barrier, but knowing this team and how they've been playing so far, they'll probably just end up using it aggressively.
Oh, and the Earth Shatter is something that's used aggressively, but it causes a self-destruct with the Graviton to come through, and Stilo's able to take Fasty down again. Winnie King able to eliminate Mers as well, so you're down those two important tanks. They're going to have to back up onto the point here. Remember, they only need 33% more to take this fight. They're forcing players off here for LFTOWL. They've got to just try and stall for as long as possible. Hope their tanks can get back into this fight. Shadowsong has himself the Earth Shatter here that he's looking for an opportunity, and he parts the sea with two of them going down, and Ole and Riz. Transcendence comes back on, able to get back on for Ole, trying to find himself this baby Diva in Aegon, who quickly falls in this fight. So Black Dragons, 2:23 on the clock. They will take this one and complete the round.
And that's a little minor mistake of LFTOWL. They're giving too much room. They're playing a little bit over advantageous towards Black Dragons, and they're not really giving themselves the room so that way they can adapt to how crazy of a snowball you can set up on Horizon, regardless of how many ultimates you have, regardless of your mechanical skill. Black Dragons are still able to assess them, or keep themselves composed enough to not only walk away with both points, but to have time along with it. And now LFTOWL, they're going to have to really give their all into this map, so that way they can end up holding on to their 100% series record. Black Dragons are giving their all here, and LFTOWL are almost not ready for it, playing very clean Overwatch.
In playing a comp that maybe that was what shocked them, is that they were playing standard, a meta pick coming from Black Dragons. You think that maybe just what it was?
Yeah, I honestly would think so. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still 3v3. Those in chat will probably be like, oh, it's such an easy composition. Lol, it's so easy. It's really not. And when you're playing around with as many members as Black Dragons has, you really got to tip your hat to how well composed they look there, and how stellar they were able to punish LFTOWL's mistakes. For LFTOWL, walking into this on paper, we were just probably right off Black Dragons, that they would probably just get wiped. And the floor of Horizon New Colony would probably have to get cleaned by one of these Roombas from Black Dragons. But not today. LFTOWL getting a little stunned, getting a little shook, if you will. getting shook ever so much. They're going to actually roll out with this Moira composition with the 3-3. Black Dragons, on the other hand, Shaunoff has his work cut out for him. If he can eat the orbs, if they're healing from Olay, can shut down an impeccable amount of healing onto the tanks of LFTOWL. And it's all about setting up Nitro with the shots of the Widowmaker and tactical arrows of Nile from Stilo on the Junkrat.
When we see that what their plan is, they're going to go through right below where that team is on the high ground and force their way onto the point. It looks to be the plan, except they went into that room, so now Stilo can sort of keep them sealed off here with this Junkrat. He has a trap placed down there, but they're able to spot it out. Now they come out the other way. Smart of them. Stilo couldn't get himself positioned in time, and now they're on the point. So now you have to try and push into this comp that's made to be all together like this in this 3-3 composition. So now you're in a really bad place if you're Black Dragons. Mariz able to get Shaunoff out of mech here at this start. Does not spell well. Nitro really has very few sight lines too once you're on that point, so the Widowmaker is just a little bit less effective. Stilo has to push on and loses his life because of this, so very expertly done by LFTOWL. They're going to have a massive time bank here to push.
Yeah. Olay was just sitting there and just holding down with this biotic grasp, able to find a final blow onto two members there. LFTOWL trying to set up a snowball here with the staggering member of Shaunoff just coming out of spawn. It could possibly happen because they're taking swaps very late.
They have almost coalescence here in this fight as well. 97% for that. Earth Shatter is pretty big too from Fasti. That'll set up the beginning of this fight, and coalescence coming out here to finish off the players that are trying to force their way back on. Nothing they can do. Transcendence a little bit late is the only problem, and self-destruct. Let's have Stilo lose his personal bubble, and he will quickly fall to Fasti swinging that hammer in and cleaving him down as they have a little bit, and they get over 6 minutes on the clock.
Very impressive time bank coming out from LFTOWL, really showing us the power of that composition through and through. Winning the first team fight effectively without many resources thrown. Just catching Black Dragons and discombobulating their composition. Almost seems that when their Junkrat wasn't able to make it back there, it was the entire team just kind of fell apart, and LFTOWL were able to snowball all the way to point B capture. Very impressive 6 minutes and 7 seconds. Again, Black Dragons now attacking for the first time, and I have to try their best to put a few more capture points on the board so that way they can continue on this assault map. It looked very impressive all the way until they came out with that Widowmaker Junkrat composition for their defense, and you almost want to take a page out of LFTOWL and really take note of why they started off on defense for GOATs, because you're more or less going to end up going it anyway unless you go to a dive style of the composition onto the defense. Perhaps you pull out a Genji, even with a Widowmaker, set them up on the far left point as you're walking in as the attacking team. Regardless of the matter, LFTOWL, when Black Dragons walked in for their snowball attempt, already had a decent amount of resources, almost gained into their ult economy, and Black Dragons had to fight through it, rather than when Black Dragons tried to set up for the point B defense. The speed boost was already at the front gates from LFTOWL, and they had no resources available. They were already staggered. They had just swapped their heroes, and as they're coming out here on their attack, they're going to come out on the tried and true 3-3. LFTOWL holding close yet again on their own 3-3.
We know how this went last time. Black Dragons was able to take advantage and push their way in. We'll see if LFTOWL can make this a little bit more advantageous for them. They're able to keep Leviathan and Fasti up in the meantime, but Mariz is so close to losing the Zarya there, so able to keep him up is super important. Nobody falling makes this actually start to go maybe a little bit in favor of the team holding on defensively in LFTOWL. They rotate towards where that Zenyatta was. Now they're deciding to push back in, and Olay just decides by himself he's going to go chase down Tracker, who is separated from his team.
This sort of separated play favors LFTOWL's Zenyatta player. Olay is a fantastic one. He will pick up on those key targets and discord them himself, land the shots available. Fantastic player. LFTOWL are just collapsing on the Black Dragons, even though they gave up one tick. Graviton Surge actually out from Shaunoff, catches a few off guard. LFTOWL have more than enough resources to fend it off, and they're going to push Black Dragons back. LFTOWL still had to give up a tick there at the end of the day, but you can see it's still to no avail. LFTOWL are still holding on to their own ult economy and suppressing the Black Dragons very effectively.
And players getting staggered out too. Tracker was coming back in and just lost his life there at the end just because there was nothing he could do.
Yeah, and that's one of the more scary things too, is when you hear that 60-second Athena saying that is all the time you have left. It's rally first, the Earth Shatter to come through, finds one of Leviathan. That's a big pig. He pulls out the trance.
He's able to stay alive thanks to the Transcendence is the big thing. The self-destruct from Stilo didn't find much. Graviton Surge only caught Tracker, so neither ults on either side have really been able to do anything. That spells good, though, for the team that's on defense because Aegon's able to throw his self-destruct into an area where 2 will fall. Then Fasty will charge into Shadow Song, and the defense holds again with 20 seconds left to go.
Wasn't even a bigger bang combo, just a nice play self-destruct from Aegon. Wonderfully done from LFTOWL's D.Va. And now they have their Earthshatter so they can hold close. 12 seconds are left on the board for Black Dragons. The only speedy character is going to be Winnie King. He's going to have to try his best to get back to the point. Now, 5 seconds back, I don't think anybody can make it here. Labasco
have to try desperately. They're able to just get on, use the Earthshatter to try and stop them. So there's still a little bit of hope here left for Black Dragons to maybe get themselves a better win condition than 48.3%. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case, though, as the overtime meter starts to go. And Black Dragons, unfortunately, stop. They do have a win condition, Panda, but they have such a large time bank on the side of LFTOWL that they have to try and fight through.
The optimism of this casting duo will never be denied. Their win condition is set. They have 48.4%. It is dual. It's winnable, all right? It's winnable, all right? 6 minutes and 7 seconds hold. Point A right here. Let's go. Black Dragons, I firmly believe. LTL, however, their Moira Goats composition was very impressive on their attack. You can almost tell that the backline almost held no pressure, but you really got to wonder just that was probably just from the discombobulate play that Black Dragons had. Unfortunate that their Junkrat couldn't make it back there in time, but rolling out on the attack, Black Dragons almost had the right idea, but LFTOWL were just smarter, giving the space, really playing out the I guess the 3D chess game that is Goats v Goats, and picking up on all of the staggering members along the way. Olay, along with Merez and even Leviathan, finding good shield bashes for the main tank of Fasty to pick up on. Altogether, LFTOWL looking very composed. Yeah, they gave up a tick, so that way they can reassess the situation, but it's kind of going all the way back to Ilios. The same fight on well, if you will, just so that way they can see the best way to enter the fight, because you never want to go in there barreling yourself in, because that is when you get shield bash and obliterated, especially in this day of Overwatch.
Well, you talked about how, like, them doing things just expertly and just strategically. When they split off the Zenyatta and Tracker, and then it turned into a 1v1 for Olay, that to me was just super. One, to be able to make that rotation to make it happen, I thought was awesome. And now you see here, Silo is on the Mei. So they're going with the Mei strat here on defense, Panda, to try and hold this.
Is it even like a strat? I'm interested. So Mei's really good against 3-3 because if you could split off one member, more importantly, just one key tank, you're really going to be able to displace and not really effectively deal, or the team that does get walled off, not effectively deal with said wall. But look how they are approaching this, adjusting accordingly.
Make it where nobody gets caught by the wall. So like you said, great adjustments from LFTOWL, getting so close already to having 33% taken up, and they'll have plenty of time to attack again, even if they lose this fight. But this looks like this is a fight they're not going to lose. Swinging their way in, Shadow Song desperately trying to stay up. They got to get back on point, just getting there in time. Was Stilo on that Mei, uses the wall to stay up alive on top, but there's so few players left alive for Black Dragons. Transcendence and desperation to try and win it, charging in and now grabbing Tracker. He's the only one left alive along with Lucio, and it's going to be the win here as soon as they get this Mei, who's just stalling for as long as possible. Doesn't matter that the Blizzard's thrown. He got eaten, I think, there for good measure too. Regardless, LFTOWL win this, solidify themselves as the #1 team in this group.
Aegon just not feeling the seasonal consolation prize of the Blizzard. I'm almost ashamed of you, Fonse. You gotta let the Blizzard come out. You had the game won. Just let it come out to play. I mean, it's the moon. Magic happens. You gotta believe in it sometimes. Black Dragons, though, they were still pulling out the right ideas. I think that they were a little bit hesitant on the execution. I saw that they had the wall available. It was a little bit misplaced in its.
I think it was the wrong way.
Yeah, before it was actually called out, it was facing the wrong way. So it was very awkward of a timing, and just the way that LFTOWL were effectively dealing with it altogether. They went in through multiple directions, and then they immediately suppressed it. It was just brilliant play altogether. As we can see some of these replays, just more dominance from Black Dragons altogether. But from LFTOWL altogether, as you can see with that combo Earth Shatter, or I'm sorry, the Graviton Surge, Shield Bash, the Self-Destruct, team firing off on all cylinders. Expect to see a lot of that headed into the playoffs. And from this team, top of the seed of the Group B, expect none less.
Yeah, that's what they want, though, of course, is they wanted to solidify themselves as the #1 team and doing what they have so far to Black Dragons. Sure, they gave up 1 point to them, but I think that's something that Black Dragons can be proud of because for a little bit there, they played the better 3-3 than LFTOWL, but LFTOWL shows great resiliency, I think, is something to point out too, Panda.
Yeah, they're not giving up without a fight, that's for sure. Black Dragons, they're looking for any sort of recovery, and they're giving their all into these fights, you can tell. They're not coming out with any sort of wonkiness. They're looking for any sort of map victory they possibly can. It's going to be their last chance here as we head into Escort. Keep in mind, you ladies and gentlemen, LFTOWL, they're playing very aggressively and opening up a few opportunities for Black Dragons, and they're taking advantage of said mistakes. But at the end of the day, when LFTOWL, they're kind of taking a page out of their Group A's #1 seed of base tryhards, and when they're pushed against the ropes, they are not afraid to bite back, and they bite hard.
Haven't lost a game so far this season. They've lost some maps, but they're still undefeated regardless, and it's going to stay that way going into playoffs is the important thing for LFTOWL. For Black Dragons, you talked about how they're a team right now that's, you know, their future's uncertain. That's I think, one of the things that we have to be honest about is they don't know what's going to happen as far as relegation and things like that. We know things are changing too for 2019 as well. Of course, South American region is a little bit different than some of the other regions, I think, is one thing to point out. So maybe their hopes are a little bit more alive than some of the other teams. But, you know, for these players who are coming in and really playing some of their first contenders, Black Dragons has looked a lot better, I think, today than we've seen them all season.
For sure. And against LFTOWL, nevertheless, this is very inauspicious for the last place team of Group B. But I am very happy to see it, nevertheless. This is where their tanks have looked the best, and I think it's because of Shadow Song. A very aggressive main tank who's not afraid to hold down the W key, maybe a little bit too aggressively at some times. And you got to go for those plays. You really got to go for it all. Those high risk, high reward plays are what they're all about at times. And as we head into Route 66, the Wild Wild West, I mean, that's what it's really all about, right? You got to pull out the wild card plays. And when you speed boost around the map by Winnie King, I think anything's really possible at that point.
It's definitely anything is possible. And if you want to see more action after this, of course, you still have to remember that the open division is going on here for Broadcast.gg. So just because the regular season for South America is ending, don't think that you're done as far as Overwatch is concerned, especially going into January. We have both, obviously, the NA and EU open division that you can be watching. And of course, you'll have playoffs coming then as well. But just stay tuned to Broadcast.gg and BGG2. You'll be able to find all that. And of course, be sure to follow on the Twitter, because that's where you see a lot of that happening, is where we let you know what's going on.
As we load into Route 66, it's going to be Black Dragons. They are going to be doing their attack firsthand here. Their first glance of they could come out with a bit of a solid dive, I suppose. They want to try to catch LFTOWL off guard. LFTOWL could try to pull out some cheesy strategies if they want, though. I hear that shouldn't try the coffee over here in Hollywood. I don't know if you want to try the cheese. Never in the end, LFTOWL, they're not straying too far on the tried and true composition. 3-3. Get to know and love it today. It's going to be minorly different as we head into the playoff season. LFTOWL, however, still looking good. Nevertheless, Shield Bash won't be changed all too much outside from shields going, or you can't Shield Bash past the shields. But I think that regardless of the matter, LFTOWL are still going to be the more effective team, regardless of the day, because their Brigetta player has been more than happy to play behind the Reinhardt and not trying to be overly aggressive, where we see many Brigetta players in this region try to do, and that's why they're not dropping any beats today. They're looking at this as a gains ground perspective of Black Dragons, and they're not taking them for granted. Sure, you can play these aggressive holds like LFT are doing, but many teams are doing this just because the speed boost from your Lucio player can get you back to the point very quickly. Black Dragons back to the spawn room immediately just for the mirror matchup on the point.
I'm glad that you said that, Panda, because you actually get an extra recontest if you play up onto the cart like this, even if you lose eventually. So that's one reason why you'll see teams do this, is because they want to have that extra hold. They can still recontest here at the corner as well. As the other thing to point out, let everybody get healed up. have players coming in and Shadow Song cleaving his way in. Only problem was Fasty was blocked by a good bubble from Muriz, and he's already got himself a Shatter, and it's massive.
Yeah, fantastic stuff over there. Shatter underneath the cart. You'd almost never see it coming. The animation is slightly hidden because of the cart. Fasty taking full advantage of that. Gonna go ahead and send all Black Dragons back to the spawn room. 30 meters over to the cart space. And they have a few more ultimates to play around with as the next attack phase will be ready for, or the next attack will be commencing for Black Dragons. Now the Graviton Surge and the Bigger Bang combo with Aegon and the Shield Bash from Leviathan could be timely yet again for the Bigger Bang combo. Black Dragons with their own coming around. Just a smaller blight in that particle dust effect. No Graviton Surge, just an Earth Shatter and a Graviton.
So there is some things to work with here for Black Dragons. Murray is looking for an opportunity to use that grab, though. Finds it right on the card. Transcendence quickly committed on. Self-destruct up into the air. Maybe a little bit too high as nobody gets taken out by it, so you're still in a pretty good spot. Out comes the Earth Shatter, though, and nobody gets caught by it, though. So Shadow Song not able to hit with that one. Misses with his charge as well. Does manage to get some charge, though, to his Zarya. Now the counter Shatter goes right into a grab, but that's okay. He's still able to Fire Strike Nitro out of the fight, and this is still a winning battle. Oh, and Baby Diva for Stilo just completely crushed by Fasty.
Shadow Song was able to carve his way up to another Earth Shatter. LFTOWL, they're just playing very clean Overwatch, playing very content at that, not feeling the pressure to use any of their ultimates as multiple members even get caught out. One or two at that. Just the focus of heals from the armor pack of Leviathan, Harmony Orb, and the Amp from their Lucio player is very good. Muriz with his Graviton Surge yet again looks to catch Black Dragons out of their place.
Was pretty even with Sean off before, but now is lapped him. Shadow Song was able to Fire Strike Fasty, though, so he's already gone in out of this fight. That'll give some space up, of course, to Black Dragons. The only thing is how can you respond if you're LFTOWL? Can you hold on until your main tank gets back? And it looks like that's not going to be the case. They're going to just try and retreat, give as little bit of ult charge as possible up, and try and reconvene as a 6th stack.
An armor pack from Neutron to Seal on the way out was his sending gift for the recontest to be available. Seal almost lost his card there. He's going to be able to drop down here on the point as the rest of LTL recontest through the cavern area. And they have a few ultimates to play around with. More importantly, they do have self-destruct. Aegon, even Vanilla, has found one or two with the self-destruct through the series.
Shadow Song not close to his ultimate. Sean off, though, is the one. Self-destruct out, thrown towards where that backline in is a good bash comes through to eliminate Shadow Song. So good combination by the Brigitte to get this fight back in favor of LFTOWL. Sean off is very high charge, those the only problem, and has all of that shielding on top. So you have to be careful, and there's a way to deal with that high charge Zarya. Throw out that Earth Shatter.
Fasty has thrown his Earth Shatters, the most impactful ones, through the payload, and that is a sign of a composed main tank player. I said it again, composed main tank player, past DPS player Fasty has been a standout this series. His Shatters have been impressive, his Winston play, but here on Route 66, leading his team on the 3-3 composition altogether, has been holding his team together like we know main tanks do, like Lou.
High charge Zarya with shield and with armor raid boss. Not if you're the main tank on the other side in Fasty, at least that's what he said there. But Panda looking at this, LFTOWL, they don't even have to get to the first point to get themselves the 4-0 sweep going into playoffs.
Yeah, and that's the most important part. I cannot stress this to you all enough that LFTOWL cannot show any weak points, especially they can only get stronger from here. They started off beginning of the season not even rocky at all, but they have continuously gotten stronger through the series, even their internet connection. For God's sakes, I mean, they have been a very strong team for many of their adversaries to try to overcome. And a team at the beginning of the season, we speculated that, sure, they were going to be a very strong team on paper, but you have to live up to that name. Olay coming through with those Discord orbs and back on Horizon and Colony. If he's left with the space, he is more than obliged to clean up on his own Discord orbs. Led by Fasty on a main tank, that's really what you need. You can see how well they are playing together just by how versatile they are at combining their ultimates and just cleaning up on simple abilities like Discord orb.
You know that they want to try and get to that championship game and face potentially base tryhards. that would be if the two tops of both groups were to meet in that championship game. That is entirely something that's possible. They've been two of the best teams, but can they keep that up, and can they finish off with the 4-0 here to have the clean sweep is the important thing. But before we get to that, Panda, we're gonna have a pause here, maybe either a DC or something like that happening for one of these teams. But while we have this pause, I mean, just looking at how things are starting to wrap themselves up here in this group, I mean, LFTOWL at the top, and then Isurus Gaming has been able to find themselves back into the mix of things, finding themselves in that second spot. So they potentially can see base tryhards in the semifinals there. And then, of course, Upgaming in that spot underneath. And we know solidifying themselves underneath in that fourth spot is the thing that we still have to be determined. LFO versus Fury. That's our final match of the day and the final match of the regular season. So our final match does have playoff implications, and you always got to love when that happens.
Yeah, that's right. You got to love a good steak at the end of a regular season. And what better for that than playoff implications? And more importantly, what's worse than a burnt steak is an internet joke and then a pause coming through a competitive game of Overwatch. But here we are, Route 66, 5 seconds in, pause comes through. But I think that playoff implications aside, playoff teams aside, I think we can go ahead and start almost. I think we can start assessing the giant elephant in the room of the two dominant teams in each group. Labasco. I mean, in between LFTOWL, we have them on our screen here. I mean, would you? I almost would say that they could definitely give it to base tryhards in a way. They look very, very strong, and they have shown very strong team play all through it.
I would have said that if they didn't make some great additions to base tryhards.
You're right.
I think that that's been one of the key things for base tryhards is you lose Klaus, you lose Alamung, and you replace them with players who are still doing good things in wings, and it's Lubak, right? He was the other one.
Right.
So
yep.
So you have these two guys who come in and kind of just slot in perfectly around the rest of the core of this team. You know, Liko is still one of the most amazing DPS players, and as far as Zarya's go, has been incredible in this 3-3 composition. And we finally get ourselves back into this game, though. So for LFTOWL, they have to show themselves out. And, of course, they want a 4-0 here at the end. Have to be careful, though. Nitro is on this Widowmaker here to deal some damage.
Listen, Captain Optimism has come and landed here in Route 66. The wind condition is set 78.80 meters. Black Dragons can hold here with their wonky composition of a triple DPS solo tank of the Hamster Shadow Song trying to flex out here. And find Pizza Lover early could be a good, impactful pick for Black Dragons to walk onto the payload.
Not a bad start. The headshot on Namuriz will help as well. So the start gets a little bit better. Fasty eliminated thanks to the help of Stilo and, of course, that SMG mode of that gun for Widowmaker. And Nitro again!
Yeah, Nitro finding these picks is more than important for Black Dragons to cement this hold here. And the body shot of Olay, headshots, body shots, has the infrared sight yet available. Merez and McCree trying to find the mid to long range shots on a Nitro. Nitro doing a good job of repositioning himself continuously. Dive off the edge, that way Aegon can get a free mech, doesn't want to give up all of the old charge. You can see now LFTOWL have to reassess how they want to attack this. Fasty and Aegon need to find a good coordinated dive onto one of the DPS, more importantly, either Shanoff or Nitro, take one of the snipers out of position, but then they leave their backline up to Stilo and Shadow Song to be Pilot Drive and Seismic Slam. I sound like I'm talking like a wrestling match right now.
Nitro gonna pop the infrared sight, so that's a little bit not quite like a wrestling match, though. I don't think they're using infrared sight too often when you're wrestling, are you? I mean, you might be throwing those pile drivers out, but you're definitely not. Well, maybe you are using it. Who knows? They do everything in wrestling nowadays.
Hardcore match, you know, you come through like in the next room with the steel chair, you can, just like they're using right now. Stilo just waiting through and just punches them in the back. What a madman!
Oh, Meteor Strike had to be used there. He was going to lose his life. Doesn't find anything, but he right-clicks into Mariz. But Pizza Lover was able to take him down while he was doing that. So still an opportunity here for the team on attack in LTOWL. They're still aggressively just pushing this card. So even though they're not really winning this fight, They're still winning this war of attrition by pushing this cart forward. Vasty now primal raging into this fight. Has to be careful, is very low on health. Able to get back up though, and now can dive his way on towards that back line and the Widowmaker. Stilo back into the fight on the Doom, and they're able to throw those mines onto the cart as well. Sound barrier here is going to keep players up for the moment, and now Nitro in a bad place. Tesla cannon down, and the punch by Vasty. Self-destruct here. Pi will eliminate Shadow Song, and now it looks like it's just a matter of time before the win and the 4-0 comes through for this top team in Group B for LFTOWL.
LFTL will walk away not only with the 4-0, but they will, of course, have that on their map series record. They won't go anywhere in the standings, but will they go forward in our hearts with another 4-0? Yes, they will indeed. I gotta hand it to them. Fasty, especially on that Winston. It almost looked like they got caught off guard with being punched in the back by that Doomfist. Upon entry, Black Dragons doing a good job of shutting down the 3 entryways to that attack of Big Earls. But at the end of the day, you get a good coordinated dive and you displace those sight lines and you have a Deadeye on the catwalk uncontested. That is a lot of free space for a Brigitte composition just to walk on the card to claim victory.
A lot of free space and a regular season done for Black Dragons and for LFTOW, and a regular season done for myself and Panda. We will see you in the playoffs, though, so don't think we're going anywhere. But to take us through this end and, of course, the next game, we have our awesome desk, Lafon, Nauri, and, of course, Lemon Kiwi. Take it away.
Thanks, Labasco. Yeah, we have a lot to talk about. The 4-0 that was not unexpected of LFTOWL still in first place and now have officially secured that first place spot, which means they will go against Predators Esports in the quarterfinals. We'll get to that point of what we think might happen in that match, but let's talk about maybe the second half of what happened. Horizon Lunar Colony, I think, was Black Dragon's best look of the season.
It's kind of surprising to say that this late in the season, unfortunately, for Black Dragon. But it was their best look. And I think one of the things that was kind of interesting is we kind of were questioning how are new players coming in. Tracker comes in, of course, for the first time this season, and they implement the Bash Shatter, something that we've kind of bemoaned them before, that they weren't quite capable of accomplishing. They did it today, and they were actually able to take 2 points in the map off of it with that Ryan play. So, Black Dragon's doing an excellent job. Okay, maybe not quite excellent, but definitely improving on their gameplay throughout the season. Sure.
A
C+, C+, perhaps.
Is that good? Is that C+ good in America?
You're the teacher. I mean,
C+ is not good. I would give a B a solid effort.
Okay. I mean, but realistically, I have to give credit to Black Dragons for at least improving. I think though, if we're talking about LFTOWL here, is that they were dominant, which we expected. They're the first team in the group, and for very good reason. I don't think I saw a combination from them that wasn't clean. And now already you can kind of talk about this towards a Grav combination, but they were basically on point the whole time. And I think if you're LFTOWL, you're more than happy going into the playoffs looking like this.
Yeah, LFTOWL were playing very, very strong. They're just exactly what LaFon said. Their combinations worked out so well. Yes, on Horizon, Black Dragon brought it back a little bit. They started to get their combinations where it needed to be, and yeah, it's a little late in the game for them to finally be showing that identity that they so desperately need, but it is a start. LFT though, this has been their identity from the start, and they've just been looking stronger and stronger as Contenders has progressed, and I can't wait to see what they're going to bring us in playoffs, because if they carry on in this trajectory, then I mean they could give BTH a run for their money.
Horizon looked great, they brought the Junkrat, the Widowmaker, and then in their second defense, bringing out the Mei. It was a cool idea, but didn't actually hold up against a team so great like LFTOWL, which we have beat that topic to death. Let's now get into playoffs. So the real, I think, interesting part is going to be LFTOWL versus Predators in the first quarterfinals. Predators getting 4th place in Group A, and of course LFTOWL getting that 1st place. What do you guys think about that matchup?
It's going to be an interesting one, because I think the DPS roster here is kind of one to look out for, which is not something we're going to say very frequently in this current meta. Keep in mind, we're still in the thick of goats, so to say DPS are going to be good is kind of interesting. But Predators have played, they have played DPS heroes. We saw Sam on Tracer at certain points doing a lot of work, and I think here for LFTOWL, I still think they have the advantage coming in here, because I think top to bottom supports, DPS and tanks, they have the better players. But I think there's definitely room here for LFTOWL to slip up. And the question is, are they going to be the team that we've kind of seen cement their way here in terms of coordination, or are they going to try kind of like lose some of that team play? I think for LFTOWL though, they're looking at Predators and they're eyeing them as having holes in their roster that they can definitely take advantage of.
Yeah, I think exactly as Stefan said, Sam and Debut have been a fantastic DPS duo throughout this contender season. And what I've loved so much about Predators is that they have flexed a lot of this traditional 3-3 composition. So that's something that LFT are really going to have to look out for. If Sam comes through on that Farah, if Debut comes through on that McCree, it could throw them for a bit of a loop. Not to mention that Playoffs is played on patch 1.3, which is the Ash patch. Ooh. It also comes through with some interesting buffs to some of the heroes, some interesting nerfs as well. So this is going to be an exciting playoff. We might see the return of DPS players. Adding on to that, we've got Avenge versus Fasty, and Avenge has been on point this season. Yes. Been some shaky moments, but overall really playing well. And of course, Raul, I've spoken about him so much. He's one of my top 3 Zenyatas in this region. And I don't know if Olay is going to be able to withstand the onslaught that is Raul's right click.
I think that's interesting that you bring that up, because I'm actually really high on Olay. Obviously, I think he's a fantastic Zen player, and I think he's more than capable. I think he's, possibly, you put Raul that high. I think I put Olay above him, but it is definitely going to be, a line to watch out for. That said, I think the area that has most surprised me has been the combination of Aegon and Fasty, the tank duo here for LFTOWL. I had question marks coming into the season at how good they were going to be. Fasty has some holes in his play. Doesn't always round out that tank. He plays the Reinhardt really well, but sometimes Winston can be a little lackluster. I think here towards the end of the season, we're seeing that he's, shored up that particular thing. We saw here, of course, in Route 66, them playing a dive-esque composition, and it worked out pretty well for them. So I think for LFTOWL, they're more than ready to take Predators on in this playoff series.
Well, congratulations to LFTOWL. That's still an incredible, successful regular season, ending up in first place. We'll see them in the quarterfinals versus Predators, where Debut and Mira's, that McCree Cowboy matchup, is going to be the one to watch. That's not all the Overwatch action we have today, guys. The most important match of today that's going to decide which team goes to playoffs, LFORG versus Fury. The win means 4th place in playoffs. A loss means trials. Don't go anywhere. That match is coming right up.